All right, how do I go from an equation to graphing? So they're going to give me an equation, and I have to graph it myself. How do I do that? Well, I can do that by using slope-intercept form. Yeah, y equals mx plus b. So remember, slope-intercept form tells us how a graph goes, right? So the number in front of the x is our slope. This m is our slope, and that's our rise over our run. The number by itself at the end is our b, and that's our y-intercept, and that tells us where it crosses the y-axis. All right, so let's try this one here. So I have 3x, y equals 3x plus 2. So my slope, my m, is 3. And 3, we know, can always be written as a fraction. Any whole number is really over 1. So this could really be written as 3 over 1. Okay, so my slope is 3 over 1. My b is always this number at the end, is this plus 2. So that means it's a positive 2. So if I was going to graph this on this line, I would start with my y-intercept. That's where we start. It has a b there. The way I remember this is that b stands for begin. That's where you want to start your graph. That's where you want to begin your graph. All right, so I want to begin on my y at 2. So I'm going to start at 0, go up to 2, 1, 2, put a point. So there is my first point. All right, so now to find my next point, I have to use my slope. And my slope is 3 over 1. And it's positive, so when it's positive, that means my top number is going up. So from here, I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, nope, sorry, let's count that again. 1, 2, 3, and now I have to go over 1, over 1. And that is my next point. I can do the same thing to find another point. I can go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then over 1. And that is my another point right there. Once I get 3 points, I can find the trend of the line pretty well. So then that means I'm going to connect those points and make my line. And there's my graphed line for that equation. So you want to start with your y-intercept. Your y-intercept is b. That's where you begin. So that tells you where to start, and then you use your slope to find your next points. Let's try another one. So I have y equals x minus 1. So what is my slope? What is my number in front of the x? Well, there's no number really written. There's no number written there. But we know when there's no number in front of a variable, there's really a 1 there. So my slope is 1, and that is the same thing as 1 over 1. All right, so now I've got to find my b. My b is where I begin, and that's my y-intercept, and it's always this number at the end. I see it's a minus 1, so that means that I'm going to begin on my y-axis at negative 1. So I'm going to go to my y and go down to negative 1. There's my first point. My slope is 1, so that means I got to go up 1 over 1. So up 1 over 1, put a point. 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 You don't really have to do like 3 of them, but if you, like, this is an easy one, so I usually just fill it all out. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So I got a whole line here, so now I can connect my dots. I can connect my dots here and make my line. All right, and then there is the line of this equation. So the equation of y equals x minus 1 has a slope of 1 and a y-intercept of negative 1. I always start on my b, that tells me to begin. So I begin on my y-intercept, negative 1, and then I use my slope to find my next points. Let's try one last one. All right, so I have an equation, y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. All right, so I got to figure out what's my slope. My slope is always the number attached with the x. So my slope is negative 2 over 3. All right, my y-intercept is my b, and that's where I begin, and that's always a number at the end. So this is plus 4, so my b is 4. So if I'm going to graph this, I start on my y at 4. So I'm going to go to my y and go up 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my first point. That tells me where to begin. All right, now from here, I can use my slope to find my next 2 points. All right, so my slope is negative 2 over 3. So that negative 2 tells me that I need to go down because a negative slope goes down from left to right. So from this point, I'm going to go down 2, so 1, 2, and then over 3, 1, 2, 3. And right there, when I put that third dot, that is my next point. And I'm going to do this one more time to get 3 nice good points. So from this point, I'm going to go down 2, 1, 2, and then over 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to put my next point right there. And now I have my 3 points for my line. So I can connect these dots and make my line. So that is how we find the equation, or sorry, find the graph when you're given an equation. You use y-intercept, slope-intercept form. The number in front of the x is always your slope. The number by itself is always your y-intercept. You start with your y-intercept and then use your slope to find your next points.